this 21st century business also foxed me really. Because what I remember is 25th century had started for us with a Y2K problem in IT. And it proved to be hoax. Okay, so it's something like an extension of that. When whatever that happened in IT sphere also, we had taken it from the previous century. Whatever work was that going on, that helped us, and not the Y2K as such. I would borrow from what Gopal Guru said about who talks about humanity. Because whatever that happened, we forget a point. Like Dalits are discriminated against. So take a case of India, for instance. The Muslims are discriminated against. The women are discriminated against. The Adivasis are discriminated against in various ways. Okay? And so when we actually focus our attention, again it becomes a kind of sectarian thing. What is our goal? What is ultimately the goal of thing? If we, statistically, if we bring Dalits on par, if the statistics appears that, okay, our representation is on par with others, etc., is that, is that going to solve the problem? If you take stock of something like last 6 decades of the kinds of things that have gone on in our country vis-a-vis Dalits, we would find it's a very, very painful kind of conclusion that you'll have to draw, that something less than 10% people have been uplifted little bit economically. Okay? And it's the same kind of thing, rather, that could be said about the blacks in US. But there are certain fundamental differences. Now, when we just talk briefly about the cross-cultural experiences and learning in 21st century and things of that kind, then I find that the trajectories of this black struggle and the Dalit struggle, there are certain salient differences. The learning could come if we, with the premise that, okay, the race and caste is similar and all these things is similar, etc., which is disputed. There are many sociologists, there's scores of sociologists who thought that race and caste are very similar. They have same kind of social morphology in terms of so many things like prejudices, discrimination, the segregation, the endogamy, and so on and so forth. So there could be that argument also, and there are arguments of the of other kind, like Oliver Cox probably could be the best representative of that, that class and caste and race are not same, and he has given a plethora of kind of things. If you now look back, read that thing, probably he has written in 1945. So it really does not relate to the ground reality. The castes have been changing, and so is the case with, as Kevin said, about the race. The kind of differences that have come in this categories or the systems is a tremendous change. So do we relate, in 21st century, do we relate with what is going to happen in this, meaning what way we would take it forward? There are certain kinds of uh, there, what I mean is that there are certain similarities when we take in the at the level of struggle that the blacks waged in US. Not all the blacks all over the world, but the blacks waged in US and the Dalits waged in India. And there are kind of differences which actually determine the orientations of Dalit movement. That could be probably interesting. What I find is the black movement, right from 1690, when the Dutch ship brought the 20 blacks from North Africa to US, right from there you will find, if you, there is a plethora of documentation also, that blacks are rebelled against their slavery. Okay, there are a lot of accounts also that blacks are docile and all kinds of things, etc. But the people resisted physically, and thousands of people died there. There has not been any parallel in Dalit movement. Okay, for 2000 years, if you find this thing, because the entire caste ideology or religious ideology actually made people, and caste was made as a life world of people. So people lived in that. They did not find any odd in that. Even Dalits internalized their status as an inferior people. So there was no question of something like a rebellion in Dalit. So, and thereafter, there something like you take, and this kind of rebellion and resistance actually persisted all along, and even it happens even today. So there has been a very serious kind of violent kind of resistance that the blacks waged against the their enslavement by whites. Again, to look back and just look at the Dalit movement, there has not been any kind of violent kind of resistance that Dalit waged ever. Here, of course, if we, it's all known, so I will make it short. Something like Dalit movement comes into being with the upliftment or the advantage that they derived from the colonial system. You know, it was unintended, but that is what actually germinated the Dalit movement. So it was something like people who have been lifted, that kind of people actually waged the movement, and it actually still its characteristic remains the same. Whereas in blacks case, it's this common people, common blacks, masses that revolted. Okay, in 54, 68, the civil rights movement, etc., normally spoken about. There again, you will find the mass participation in the movement, which actually brought in lot many changes. That sets the tone. These are very important things because because what happens is that there is a mass ownership of the change that was brought in. Here it appears, meaning one venerable exception of Ayangali, for instance, the way he actually enacted the struggle, that he just sort of uh, jumped up, it's a story that is jumping off the cart, etc., and challenging the caste Hindus about the discrimination, etc., and he brought out the changes. Unfortunately, we have forgotten that entirely, and the entire thing was taken over by the movement which actually gets associated with Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So it is something like it all became a leader-centric thing. After Mahasatyagraha and a few of the satyagrahas that he reluctantly supported thereafter, there has not been a mass ownership of the things. And it always remained at the something like a state negotiation with state and bringing about the solutions. So it always remained that somebody will come, a savior syndrome. Somebody would come and actually take us out of this kind of rut. So there are such kind of things. There I have a lot of many such kind of differences that noted, but I will resist speaking of it about that. Already it's a time. So these are the kinds of things that actually set the orientation of Dalit movement, and that needs to be introspected about. As is questioned, you know, the kind of emancipation, the emancipatory discourse. How would we define our goal? What would be the goal in terms of something like when the Machiavelli brought this thing, Machiavellian logic, that English-speaking class would be created and that would take care of the rest of the people. The similar kind of thing, this had been a ruling class logic all through, that you, if the downtrodden people actually resist, then create a class from among them so that rest of the people would be managed. So this has been the aftermath of the kind of policies that have happened in India. It's not the same that has happened in US. Take for instance the affirmative action policy in US. Right from the Kennedy or Johnson brought in the executive orders. Now it is much is said about the constitution, etc. of India. Again, I would resist my comments on constitution. There has been a big kind of scheming in the constitution making itself against the masses of this country. So that we actually take as a holy cow, and the time has come to actually demolish this holy cow syndrome. Now, the affirmative action kind of thing, right from the beginning, it has actually covered all the spheres. And there has been a commission, like what is that, EEOC commission, which actually monitors, and there are actually penal provisions for in that. In here, there is nothing. You know, it has been left just like that, just government compiles figure, the companies compile figure, department compile figure, and feeds into the government machinery, and shamelessly they reel up, meaning year after year. That has been the case. What has created, what has happened as a result is, it would be shocking that I'm fond of giving figures, etc., but again, there is no time. Actually, it has benefited just a small class of people, and as a result, we are actually starved of the SC people. You know, all elite institutions have not been filling the reserved seats for last 10, 15 years. This has been a phenomenon. And we still hamper upon the same kinds of things. Actually, none of the solutions that are in place really have worked, and we'll have to really think in terms of fundamentals and think out of box. I think it's already, I think I stop here. Thank you.